just collapse when those three guys do bad.
Yeah.
Not to mention, dude, Deandre Hunter has by far been the glowing piece of this Hawks team in the playoffs and like towards the end of the season. He is so good and does not get enough credit.
No, he's one of those like slept on guys. So he's that worst game in this series was what, 14 points, game one.
Yeah.
Like he's great. I wish they'd like use him more in offense. And John Collins, I feel like he's playing hurt. Just the way he's been.
Dude, I think so too.
Yeah, it's not John
he's come back. Right. Yeah. And it's not like he's old. Like it's not like it's a dude who had this explosiveness and like is getting up there. Like he
doesn't look confident either. He doesn't look like he's not getting to his shots. Like he's not really like involved in like it's not like they're trying to go to him at all or do anything. And I feel like he's definitely one of those guys that is like needs to be involved in the offense to really like, you know, be activated. Like John Collins thinks he's the second best guy on that team, right? Like no matter what.
I think when healthy he is.
He probably is. Yeah, but I think Hunter is a guy that they want to be the second best guy on the team. Yeah. Like they would rather have him in that role just because of his wing. I think just his switchability, everything else like that. And Capella is like, I've been trying to write off Clint Capella for so long, and he doesn't go away, man. Like he's still effective, and you could tell how much he helped their defense more than anything. When he was out defensively, like it was just rim running. They were just getting to the rim relentlessly. And I mean, him coming back didn't really help that much, I guess, in the game the other day. So whatever. But maybe there is a moment where it does. Maybe it's just a wash for them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this series. Now that like Butler's, I think the Heat still win. I really do think the Heat win tonight.
Is it bad that this is the series I'm least interested in? Like. As a whole out of the 8, I think this whole time it really has been. And I was expecting it to be Jazz Mavs, but Jazz Mavs has been exciting.
Well, Jalen Brunson brought me back in that series. I was like, I'm going to be mentally checked out until Luka comes back. And then Jalen Brunson decided, hey, I want to drop 40 the first night. And he's like, I want to drop 30 the next night. And they stole the game. They stole 2 games.
I feel like by default, usually we are supposed to be the least interested in the 1 and 8. The Hawks and Heat are just really the only series living up to that right now, because obviously
everything else on fire.
The Booker injury and the other 1-8 series. But I mean, dude, all that being said, like Devin Booker is most of the Suns team. There was still a 60-win team. They still have unbelievable players on that squad. In my opinion, there's no, and this isn't a knock on the Pelicans, there's no excuse for that series being tied 2-2, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give the Pelicans a ton of credit for what they did in Game 4. I mean, just defensively, they found a way to get in Chris Paul's head, which I am all over the Suns tonight just because of that. There's no way that the Suns can get that rattled again. Isn't it a Scott Foster game tonight? Is it a Scott Foster game again?
I thought
that would be a big travel day for him. He went from Brooklyn to Phoenix.
He was big.
I thought I saw that it was a meme. So you keep going though. Keep going on your point.
No, it could be. But my whole thing is like, just the way they finally got to him defensively. You got to give the Pelicans so much credit too on the defensive side, and I think that's why they're staying in this series. Brandon Ingram's been sensational. There's no denying that. He's been fantastic. McCollum, I think we all overlooked how much of an impact McCollum going to the Pelicans kind of had on them. But I talked about this too. I think he's going to win multiple Defensive Players of the Year at some point. Herb Jones is all over the court at all times. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. I mean, there were some blocks he had. I think he had one against Campaign where he was like in the paint, and Campaign was pretty far behind the arc, and he got over there. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. His wingspan. And you got to give Alvarado credit, too, for just getting in Chris Paul's face, rattling him. And what I love about both these guys, they're 2 rookies. You have Herb Jones, who doesn't let Chris Paul help him up. I don't know if you guys saw that. When he was down, and he's just staring there, blank stare at Chris Paul, just not even acknowledging him. And then Alvarado just in Chris Paul's face the whole time. These are rookies going up against one of the best point guards of all time, and they're rattling him. It's been – I got to give the Pelicans so much credit. I didn't think they'd do this. And I know the Booker injury is huge.
Think about how much that just like give a nice round of applause or whatever to Willie Green, because the culture that whatever he has done in the last year or year and a half, however long he's actually been head coach, it's just a complete 180 from where that culture felt like it was and where those guys were playing. And Alvarado and Jones are those two. Like, those guys are just, dude, Herb Jones, like, it's the most impressive. One of the most impressive things in all of basketball to me is when you block somebody's jump shot. And the fact he did that twice in like a 6-minute span last night or the other night. And it was just, it's just impressive to see from this team that won 36 games this year. Like, they won like 28 games less than the Suns. And I know Booker's not playing, and that's obviously a huge thing, but still impressive regardless.
And not to mention that they're playing without the face of their franchise potentially with Zion Williamson. This is a
Imagine
team
this roster with Zion.
I don't want to. I don't want to. If they can keep this core together next year, they're going to be a fun team to watch.
There's talks today that Zion could, if they make it this far, if they make it to the second round, that Zion could possibly return. I mean, we've been hearing that all season. So
I know.
Yo, but it wasn't even just thinking about it right now. I'm still getting excited about that, because that just him, like, just where he left off last year before he got hurt, like, he was unlocking something that I don't think teams were going to be able to stop at all. Like, he was running a point. He was running point and just was a train. Like, he was just a runaway train every game.
What do you do in that situation? How do you guard Zion there? You're gonna have to point guard. How do you do it with the way that?
How do you do it with McCollum and Ingram on his sides? And he's a great passer. Like, that's been an underrated thing about him since college, is that he is a great passer, especially on those drives. So it's either you have to collapse on a Zion with a Valanciunas down low who can shoot and can obviously score, or you've got, you know, McCollum and Ingram, who are just knocked down three. They're two of the best shooters in the league by every metric. That is just, they would be a serious title contender if he looks even like 70-80% of what he did last year. And I don't think that's too much of a stretch, the way they're playing right now, and the way the West, dude, I don't know. Who are you confident in the Western Conference? This is for either of you.
Warriors.
It's just the Warriors, right? And that's not even
right
that's not even from their play this year. I feel like, as much as it is like we're just looking back, we're like, oh yeah, like we've seen at least most of these guys do this. Like, it's like if it and they've looked good in the first series, but I think that we were trying to manifest it for Meerkat. Sorry, Meerkat, but Denver was just overmatched, because the Warriors defense has always been one of their greatest strengths, especially in a playoff series. Kerr knows how to put in a defensive game plan for a playoff series, and they don't really have anything else outside of Jokic. I mean, they have good players, but having those guys score in the playoffs it's a different animal. I think we find that out every year with those teams.
Yeah, and I think I hate seeing everyone trying to discredit Jokic. Oh, this is your MVP. He's going to get, killed in the first round. It's like, Jokic is the reason they're even didn't get swept. He's the reason they won Game 4. The second best player is Will Barton is their second best player right now. I mean, Aaron Gordon, Meerkat goes all the time. He can't make a layup. He's right. He can't make a layup. Jokic is the reason they're staying in. We forget the Nuggets are without probably their second and third best player, Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., who, once again, the theme of the NBA season is just like, when are they going to play? We really have no idea. It's just like, oh, they might return soon. But, I mean, I got to give Jokic credit. He's been playing great, but it's just such a tough first-round matchup to go up against this team. And I haven't talked to you guys since the playoffs started, but what a start for the postseason for Jordan Poole out of nowhere. Yeah. I mean, I know he played well this year. He improved, but he should not be someone who's averaging 25 a night in the playoffs right now. And he really has become, I know it's premature, but he's kind of become the third Splash Brother, and that's terrifying. If there's a third option that can shoot off the dribble, that can make any open look you give him, that doesn't miss free throws, and he's got a higher free throw percentage than Curry already. He made his step back has just been unbelievable to watch. It's just so smooth, and he gets so much separation with it. I don't know how you don't pick the Warriors out of the West right now, just the way they've looked. And that's nothing against Jokic and the Nuggets. I know the Nuggets were outmatched coming into this series, but the Warriors have impressed me even more so. I thought they'd get past the Nuggets pretty easily, but this is even more impressive than I thought this Warriors team would look, and that's terrifying because, like you said, they've already done it before. They have that Minnesota's to experience. I love this Warriors team, and they haven't really shown me a reason not to make a case that they're just going to run through the West, especially if Booker doesn't come back.
Yeah. I also hate to like go down their entire roster and just pat everyone on the back too, but it is absolutely insane that an NBA roster that is that good has Andrew Wiggins as a fourth option. Fourth option, dude. And he is a
He's a great fourth option.
Say what you will about Wiggins, dude, and the hype, and call him. I think people that call him a bust are crazy. He has been so consistent his entire career. He's averaged nearly 20 points per game his entire career. He does so much stuff on offense and defense that half the players in the NBA cannot do, and he's just solid as hell every single solitary night. And he's a fourth option on that squad. It's ridiculous.
And clearly it wasn't his fault what was going on in Minnesota. They've just figured it out this year to get to the point where they feel like kind of stable. And that's just because they lucked into Anthony Edwards more than anything else, right? And Russell's played well, and he's part of that Wiggins trade and whatever. But I'm fully with you on Wiggins. And I think that's another one of those deals that they looked at him in the Russell trade, and maybe Russell has a little more pop and whatever else scoring wise, whatever, but Wiggins just fit exactly what they need around those guards. And they didn't even know Poole was, going to be on the roster at that point, but having another guard, it's literally like the three of them, Poole, Thompson, and Curry, feel like their total power equals old Splash Brothers power. They have the same amount of gravity, the three of them, as the other two did, because Clay clearly has lost a step in some form,
he's shooting the ball lights out.
He's still he's still shooting great. I'm just saying, from a creation standpoint and everything else, he can't really do that as much. And Curry just has been, laboring through the series, not even starting at the beginning with his injuries and such like that. And Poole just lifts he's whatever that, I can't think of that saying, the rising tide lifts all boats, that kind of he's kind of that for them, because he takes so much pressure off their shot creation and just giving Draymond, just give Draymond shooters. It's like having Giannis or LeBron have shooters, the passing ability, not the physical ability, but the passing and vision that he has. It's on par with those guys. He's just, dude, healthy Draymond is one of the most fun people to watch in the NBA, whether you like him or hate him. Is just the basketball IQ and just defensively, he's had Jokic in hell all series. Even Jokic getting his 37 the other night, it looked so difficult. Every shot he was taking looked half those shots I was like, damn, he hit that, that went in. It was and then he hits those all the time too, but they're making him work. And it's a credit to Draymond and the Warriors game plan as a whole that has just tortured everybody on that Denver roster, but specifically just made things more difficult for Jokic, even if he's going to get his numbers really no matter what.
I think the scariest part too of this Warriors team, they're doing it with just a few minutes a night from Kuminga and no James Wiseman as well. That's what's terrifying about this team. And you talk about Draymond's, playmaking ability. That's one thing that surprised me about Jordan Poole. Yeah, he's been scoring crazy this series. The guy's averaging 6 assists a night, and it's been flashy passes too. There have been some highlights where Curry will make a flashy pass to Draymond or something, or her pass to Poole, and then Poole will find Clay wide open. And they're making it look so easy against another NBA team and a good NBA team in the Nuggets. And that's kind of what's terrifying for me. They have the experience. They have the star power. I say you need experience, you need star power, and you need to play team basketball in order to win the NBA Finals. And they check all three boxes. And I think they check all three boxes better than almost any other team in the NBA right now.
Yeah, and the fact that Clay has just hasn't skipped a beat, and he's just back. And I wish I had this stat updated. It might still be standing, but as of yesterday, so as of Monday afternoon before the game started, Monday night, Clay had the most 3-pointers in the playoffs so far with 21. Someone like Tatum might have passed him last night, but I don't even think so, because I don't think Tatum's been hitting at the same clip that Clay has been. And that in itself is just crazy that he's back in.
He's shooting 50% from 3 too. He's doing it efficiently. Yeah. That's the craziest part. Klay Thompson shooting efficient threes. That's terrifying.
Gross, man. the Warriors just have a gross amount of talent.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And I asked you guys that question knowing damn well that I've picked the Warriors all year long, and I'm very happy to see this coming out. And Phoenix, I'm really upset that we're not getting Phoenix at full strength, because even if Book comes back and they make it to the conference finals, it's not him at full strength. Right. It's not going to be them at full strength. Maybe they still win that series with him not at full strength. Donnie, we got to get to it here, though. I just want to know how you feel after last night's Boston sweeping, dismaying, whatever you want to call it. Honestly, all those games were great games. That's the thing about this sweep. It feels so weird because Brooklyn, it's not like there was one game where it was just wire to wire Boston blowing Brooklyn out. Like Brooklyn was in it up a lot in some of those games. And then when it came to money time, we saw which team was really, that's really what it comes down to is money time. I don't know who could touch this Boston Celtics team.
Yeah, the getting to your first point there, the point differential in the entire series, so all 4 games combined, is only 18 points. And obviously it was 1 point in game 1, I think 7 in game 2, 4 in game 3, and then or 6 in game 3, 4 last night, something like that. But yeah, just unbelievable, man. I want to start with, just getting back at everyone that said to split up the Jays at the beginning of the year, like how foolish they look. I know even Kendrick Perkins, he has that famous clip where he's on ESPN and he fell into the trap of being a talking head and just saying what's going to get clicks. But that makes you look stupid sometimes, and it has made a lot of people look stupid. And those same people were probably the same people saying that Marcus Smart couldn't be a real legit point guard of a title contending roster. Smart last night in the closeout game, 20 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds, and only 1 turnover. I mean, but near a perfect game for a point guard of a contending team. And that's also what I want to get back to. I think even the 3 of us at the beginning of the playoffs, maybe I believed a little bit, but not nearly as much as I do now. The Celtics are absolutely a contender, and as much, if not the most, they look the most like a contender out of any team in the entire playoffs right now. They're the only team undefeated still. I don't really think that's a question. It's crazy. What's Tad B saying here? Yeah. Did blast.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know that. They're set. Like, we should put in the futures right now, to be honest.
Also,
Lil B is
another side note. It's Ime Udoka's first year as a head coach, rookie head coach. The only two other rookie head coaches to sweep their first series as a rookie head coach were Steve Kerr and Ty Lue. And those guys also went to win the NBA championship that year.
That's a solid stat there.
Right.
But it's crazy, man. I mean, but just the KD, the Kyrie, all the drama in this series, and for them to just do it in 4. And like I said, all of them were very, very close games, tight point differential, like we mentioned. But outside of game 1, none of them really worried me. I was never really rattled at all.
Oh, no, I never had any doubt in any of those games that it felt like the Celtics, like it would have been a surprise at any point if the Nets pulled it out, because you could just tell when it was getting, like, there was no playmaking from the Nets. It was just great shot making sometimes, and then obviously and just a high pace. And you know what it is we've noticed that since what year? 2005, 2004. When did Steve Nash really start blowing? 2005 with the D'Antoni offenses. And those D'Antoni
he won
offenses,
MVP in 2005.
They've never made the NBA Finals. Like Mike D'Antoni's never made the NBA Finals. They're running that same system, that run and gun up and down the floor that Nash knows, and it's never won in the playoffs. Like, Harden got the closest to it, and he missed 27 straight threes, because if you go cold, you're screwed. Yeah. Like, that's the thing with it, and that's what. And it still hasn't. We're 17 years later, and the 3-point revolution and that style of play still hasn't won any meaningful, gotten to the NBA Finals, gotten to the promised land. I wouldn't want to say any meaningful games, because those teams got into conference finals and such. But in a real meaningful way, those teams have not succeeded. And I wonder if there has to be something to be said about that at least. But Brooklyn, go ahead, Stevie.
No, well, I was just going to say, I know everything in the media right now is kind of discrediting the Nets, saying, how do you get swept with Kyrie and KD? But we have to credit the Celtics defense, especially
it's just the Celtics, yeah.
Half. Their second half defense, second half of the year was the best in the NBA, and they showed it in the playoffs here. It was fantastic. And I say every time, you need star power to win an NBA championship. And a lot of the talk was, is Jason Tatum a true star? Stop. That conversation is over by now.
We weren't having that conversation here, and I don't know how we were. Yeah, no, I know
you weren't having it here. We got Dunny here who was speaking, he's speaking true to us. I was like, maybe he's a little biased with the Celtics, but Jason Tatum's an absolute superstar. What he did, he averaged close to 30 points, and not only that, over 7 assists a game in these playoffs. He outplayed Kevin Durant. Everyone's talking about, is Kevin Durant washed? No, he's still Kevin Durant. Maybe he's not as good as he was at his peak, but he just got outplayed by another superstar in that series, and that happens. And the Celtics, like the Warriors for me, check all 3 boxes. They play great defense. They have a great rotation. They have the star power, and they play team basketball. And that's the biggest thing we saw, the difference between the Nets and the Celtics. The Nets are like, all right, Kyrie, take it up the court this time. You ISO, you try to create your shot. KD, take it here. The Celtics are passing it around the arc. They're getting open shots. I mean, Al Horford was hitting some threes the other night. Marcus Smart getting involved. I mean, this team's a fun team to watch. They play basketball the right way, and they have the star power now to back it up. And not just one star with Tatum. Jaylen Brown's a star too, and he showed it in this series as well.
Love it, man. I don't even have to rip off my points today. Stevie's got my back.
It's literally the 5-year story arc that is coming to a wrap with this team. Not even a wrap. It's not even close to over.
They're not even in their primes yet, bro.
This is the same core that was a game away from the NBA Finals 5 years ago. Also, this is the teams that you always look for when you're into a playoff run, that are like, oh man, they've been together, been through the wars, whatever else. They've already done all this. Like none of these teams really have done that. What were you gonna say, Steve?
Just shout out Batman. He actually played a really good series. I got you're gonna call him Batman. He actually showed up.
He's not Batman still. Series. He's still not Batman.
No, he's
still not Batman. But I did love him defending Durant after the whistle yesterday when Kevin just going along with it, playing like I don't even think Durant was mad. I think he was just like, this guy is ridiculous.
I guess the people who aren't watching the series closely, or weren't watching the series closely either, Grant Williams had a game this series where he had 17 points, 100% from 3, 100% from the field, and 100% from the free throw line. That is on 17 points. Yeah, and Andy's getting switched on to Durant when he's in there too, playing those minutes. Grant Williams has been unbelievable. This team's been unbelievable. The last thing I want to send out on, which I saw today, is, granted they just swept the Brooklyn Nets. I'm high on that. I'm super excited for the second round. Most likely going to be playing the Bucks. The Celtics have won 30 of their last 36 games. This is the most perfect stretch of basketball you can really ask for a team going into the playoffs and then starting the playoffs. So, Jake, it's crazy that 3 months ago we were asking every other show where I was on the panic meter, and Stevie is the twin today. No panic meter anymore. Yeah, Celtics for the balls. Let's go.
I will say the one thing we kept noting during this whole season, even when Boston was 500 and everything, is we looked at point differentials all year, and Boston was always one of the top 3 in the East in point differential. Like, their games that they were losing were close games, and they were still blowing out all the bad teams. And then it's since the Jaylen Brown tweet. The energy's about to shift. I think what was the record since then? It was like 20. I think it's that exactly what you said. It was the 28-6 the other day is what I saw, and now it's the 30-6 or something like that. I think that's what the date was from. Something must have happened. I don't know what happened. If they just had some big, some moment that they just like.
JB's that wise.
He is really. He feels it. He feels it. I'm with that. All right. So we've got Raptors, Sixers, Bucks, Bulls, Mavs, Jazz, and Timberwolves, Grizzlies. Where do you guys want to go next year?
Let's go Raptors, Sixers, because I was gonna pose the question to you guys when we were talking Nuggets, Warriors, if the Nuggets will be the first team ever to come back down 0-3, and that was gonna be like a joke / to keep our guy Meerkat's spirits up. But I'm gonna ask you guys: are the Raptors gonna be the first team to come down from 0-3? Because Doc Rivers blows these leads. James Harden always flops in the playoffs. Embiid has a torn ligament in his hand, and Nick Nurse and the Raptors just do not die. I gotta get you guys' opinion on this.
I mean, I think it goes 7. I think they get the win at home. I don't know if they're going to win.
Dude,
both.
That's the thing.
I think they force 7, and if you force a game 7, anything can happen. And with the MVP candidate, the Sixers' best player, Embiid, dealing with an injury, he didn't look as dominant last game as he did in the previous one.
He did not.
Anything can happen. And on the other side of it, for the Raptors, they won that game without Fred VanVleet. They won that game with Scotty Barnes. He finally had his first full game back after a couple games coming off the bench. I mean, I think it goes 7, and then if you're asking me who I think I want in 7, Nick Nurse or Doc Rivers, I mean, come on now. Come on now. That's for the coaches alone. But I don't know, man. I don't think Embiid's going to allow it to happen at home in Game 7. But we'll see.
The injury scares me, man, and how poorly Harden's playing. Yeah. I saw something today. Harden has more turnovers than field goals made twice over. So he has double turnovers than field goals.
He's really
that's disgusting, dude.
Since Jalen Rose said says the tour date stat the other day or whoever it was, I've looked at every box score and it's been tour dates every single day.
Yeah,
5-7 the other day. Oh, that's a nice day. Like May 17th, that'd be a good summer. Like he's just yeah. Like I don't think he has it. I think this is older guards aging, and people don't you don't catch it night to night, because these guys can still get their stats up, whatever. It's the playoffs when there's focus on you and everything. It also helps that Maxey is this dude, he was ready for the playoffs. He's the antithesis of James Harden in the playoffs. He's come out firing. But I did think if they won 5, they were going to win 6. Speaking about Toronto, because going back to, it's hard to win in Toronto as it is. In Game 4, it took a miraculous fadeaway buzzer beater for them to, or Game 3, I should say, for them to even get up this 3-0. It could have easily been 2-1. That was just what an incredible. We talked about it last week too. What an incredible effort by Embiid. I'm very worried about his hand though, because I think just the little bit of dip in efficiency the other night shows that it's affecting him, because they didn't really defend him better per se.
No, there was no difference.
It looked the same.
Yeah, it was. It's just Embiid wasn't as dominant as Embiid's been, and that's terrifying. If you're a Sixers fan, you have to be terrified. And I mean, the Sixers, I don't know if their fans can even come out for the next year if they get reverse swept here. I don't know. I don't know how you come back from that. But
imagine if we
literally don't know, because it's
imagine
never
if the
happened.
Nets get swept and then Philly gets reverse swept in the first round. We talked about those teams all year long, and then I really want it to happen. I really want Philly to blow this to Toronto.
I never thought I would say this. I would genuinely feel so bad for Joel Embiid if that actually happened.
Agreed.
He might demand a trade the next day.
He is the only person on the roster who does not deserve that, because at least Thibel's not doing his. Well, the only reason I say that about Maxey is because he's young. He hasn't been there for the process. He hasn't put up with Ben Simmons. He hasn't put up with trash coaches. Embiid has been through it all and has pretty much played like an MVP ever since he's out there being healthy. I would, and this is coming from a guy who used to hate Embiid, hate the Sixers. I still hate the Sixers. I don't hate Embiid anymore. But yeah, I would genuinely feel really bad. But I would love to see it happen. We'll see though.
And then on the
Maxey also is outplaying James Harden, which is just unbelievable thought to say out loud, but it is true and it's awesome.
Yeah,
it is.
And then the other side of the court, I know earlier when there was the All-Star voting or someone was getting in, everyone was upset. You were all upset on Happy Hour here if Pascal Siakam makes the All-Star game or whatnot. Yes, I think you guys have to give him his due credit. He had a career year this year. He played unbelievable this year, and he's stepping up in the playoffs again this year. I mean, he's been incredible. He's got averaging 23, 7 and 5. He's shooting pretty efficiently. He's been facilitating for this offense.
Yeah.
Pascal Siakam, I didn't think he had this in him coming into the season. I didn't think he could take his game to the next level. And I know there was a lot of talk, oh, he's not really a star. He's stepped his game up. He is a guy that maybe not build your team around, but definitely a key piece. Yeah. And a guy who can situations. And I didn't think I'd see that.
I think he had the same breakthrough, not to the level. He's not the level of a player of Jason Tatum, but one of those things where it just started to like clicks, like the game kind of slows down and everything. That's where it looks like with Siakam. Like before, he looked like you could see all the physical tools and he was smart, but he was so frantic all the time. Like he was always like, it was always like he just didn't, like he just would panic a little bit or just do something too quick. And now it feels like he's letting everything come to him, and with his natural ability and that team that the Masai just with another incredible basketball team this year. I mean, they're just such a great squad every year competitively. Like I think that's allowed him to flourish a lot. So yes, I will give Pascal his credit. I will. He has looked a lot better. He is not the same player as he was last year. That is for sure. Like it is not a complete 180, but it's been a lot of improvements that I, like you said, wasn't expecting at all.
And I think a lot of it that's helped him is due to Scotty Barnes, the rookie of the year.
For sure.
Unbelievable
defensively.
Dunny, I have to give you a shout out because I really do believe I think it was one of the first March Madness shows we did. We were talking about Florida State, and Dunny's like, this is a guy I think that could win the rookie of the year in the NBA. He's like that good. He's built his game is built for the next level. And sure enough, I mean, he can do it offensively. Scotty Barnes' defense is unbelievable.
Yeah, I think you were right. I think I did say that when he was still in college. But even if that's not true, on me and Jake's award show at the beginning of the year, where we picked and kind of told everyone the odds, so that he was my pick for when we did the award show as well. I think it was like plus 2,200 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you nailed it. You were always on the Scotty Barnes train, and
dude, he's so good.
He's so good,
and he's only going to get better. He's going to become a legitimate superstar.
Yeah, that's the thing is with that, like it's the fact that that's his base is terrifying. Like he looks so smart. He's so smart, so athletic, like everything, and he's only gonna get better.
And my last Raptors thought that I have here before we move on to one of these other series is hilarious. I saw this on Twitter today. Goran Dragic left the Raptors because he I forget the words that he used, but he didn't think they were going to be competitive enough, or he wanted a team with a higher ceiling. Meanwhile, Dragic's getting swept with the rest of the Nets, and here the Raptors are potentially about to make history and come back down from 0-3. A lot to ask for, 2 huge games left, but still comical.
That is great. All right, let's finish up the East here. I was in United Center for Game 4 on Sunday, Milwaukee, Chicago. At least it wasn't 30-point beatdown. They almost got up there. It was up to like 26-24 by the fourth quarter whenever he started filing out. My biggest impression that I can give you is that looked like the most effortless 30-point game I've ever seen a basketball player play in person. I haven't seen a bunch of NBA games in person. I have seen LeBron in person though, but not even talking about in person, just in general. Giannis did not like it. I don't want to say it was like quiet, because you could tell he was having an impact on the game, but nothing was difficult for him. And I think that's as much how incredible Giannis is, as much as we've talked about the Chicago defense all year. And what I've said all year long, love the Chicago team. Who's guarding anybody in the playoffs though? And this was the worst possible matchup to go up against Giannis. And all these shooters, Grayson Allen, apparently people hate. I heard so many fuck Grayson Allen chants in the other night. It was insane. I was like, y'all really hate him that much? Like from the one game, you're just that tired of him. And they were. Everybody. It started at least like 10 times. I'm not even joking. So, but Milwaukee is just, they're it doesn't matter if they have Middleton. I think that's always been a thing. Like we talk about, maybe Middleton will affect them, whatever. But as long as they got Giannis and shooters, they're going to be deadly.
Yeah. I mean, Grayson Allen's easy to hate because of his Duke days. People just he's one of the easiest guys to hate.
He did try to trip multiple people on the court. That's when I think I stopped like caring about Duke. It very much crosses over with the Grayson Allen timeline.
Yes. But I hate Grayson Allen. I'm going to say this right now. I can't stand Grayson Allen, but the way he stepped up his game with Middleton out, Is a 22 points, 27 points, just shooting lights out from
He's
three.
A strap.
Yo,
he has a strap.
Like, are you kidding me right now? And then Giannis, to your point, Jake, Giannis to me is one of the most likable and just one, I think, most underappreciated athletes. He had 32, 17, and 7 last game. And I just didn't even like, it didn't faze me. I was like, oh yeah, he just had a typical Giannis type game. He's so innocent. He's such a nice guy. They're asking him after the game. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna grab some deep dish with my son. You know, that's the pizza here, right? Chicago deep dish.
Yeah.
He's just such an innocent, humble guy who is unbelievable at basketball, and people don't really talk about him in the way I think they should, and eventually they probably will if he gets another ring or whatnot. But Giannis makes everything looked so easy on the basketball court. And even when Chicago won the game and DeRozan was shooting lights out there, it was just like they're not going to be able to stop Giannis, because when the Bulls go on a little bit of a run, Giannis is just like, all right, I'm going to drive. What are you going to do about it? You can't do anything. There's no one on the Bulls team that can step up and guard Giannis when he wants to just run at the rim. And I'm not saying that it's easy to do. It takes more than one guy. It takes a team defense, but the Bulls just don't have it. And it doesn't matter who's out of this series. As long as Giannis is healthy, the Bucks are going to cruise.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts here. I feel sorry for the Bulls because, coming into this series, they're already, a man down in Lonzo Ball, who's one of their better perimeter defenders, and he's a great playmaker. So that sucks. Then you lose Caruso. Now Levine's missing this next game. It's like they never had the manpower to win this series coming into it, and then they just keep getting kicked while they're down. So I really do feel for the Bulls. Going back to Grayson Allen, though, I want to give him his credit. Whether you like him or hate him, this was also a dude who everyone said his game would not translate to the NBA. They were like, he's a guy who could light it up in college because he got under people's skin and he could score the ball a little, but he's undersized. He doesn't have hops. Grayson Allen has put people on posters in his NBA career. He's shooting the lights out in the NBA playoffs. He's, having multiple 20-point games when the starting shooting guard goes down. Love him or hate him, I think all these scouts who kind of didn't even give Grayson Allen a chance coming in, they should feel sorry for painting him that way. Aside from his on-court antics and whether he's a dirty player or not, he can play the game of basketball and he can play it damn well. And then the same exact thing, Stevie, about Giannis. My mom was literally asking about Giannis the other day, and that's how I explained it. Like, he's probably the most likable, professional athlete who's at all, great at their sport. He has to be the most likable. It's just undoubtedly. Giannis is fantastic. I think his line for points, rebounds, assists on Sunday was set at 53.5 or something. And I was like, oh, no way he hits that. I didn't touch it because I was like, that's crazy to take over on that. And I'm pretty sure it hit. Yep, it's insane, dude. And, I hate to already say that the Bucks will win the series, but they're going to. And
it's done. It's done tomorrow. Yeah, that's especially no Levine either on health and safety protrocols. And
I was just gonna say I'm super excited for I honestly hope that Middleton is back for this next series because the evenness between the Celtics and Bucks big three is crazy. You have Drew Holiday matched up with Marcus Smart. I think that's a fairly even matchup. I think Brown has a slight advantage on Middleton, and then Giannis with a slight advantage on Tatum. It's those big threes going up against each other is going to be very, very exciting.
And I don't want to discredit any of the other teams on the other side of the East, but I'm treating the Celtics-Bucks series as the Eastern Conference Finals. And I know the players shouldn't and the team shouldn't, but I think the winner of that series is just going to the NBA Finals. Those teams are just so much better than every other team in the East. I mean, we will see. And I think it's going to be great because I can't wait to see what the Celtics are going to do against Giannis and vice versa. The Bucks defending the Celtics. It's going to be a fantastic series. I'm sorry that I'm counting the Bulls out, but
no, they're done.
They're done.
It's done tomorrow. It's done.
I'm just looking forward to this Bucks Celtics series. This is one that I know Dunny wouldn't like this, but I just hope it goes 7. I want 7 games out.
I don't think you're going to have an option. I don't think those teams are going to allow it not to go 7.
That's
I think
up to Giannis, bro.
Yeah, Giannis is going to make it go 7, and that is the benefit of everybody who tried to avoid the Brooklyn Nets, who just got swept. Yep. You know, the Bucks were trying to avoid him. The Sixers trying to avoid him. Didn't want to play him in the first round. Well, look where you guys ended up. And Boston handled their business. And now Game 7 is not in Milwaukee. It's going to be at TD Garden. That's the last place I would want to play a Game 7 right now of all the teams remaining. Maybe besides Chase Center. Like, those are the 2 places I think in the 2, you know, biggest home court advantages and such. And those things matter when it comes down to a big game like that. I'm with you, though. I've said I'm with you guys, full agreement about this series. I can't wait. I know, shout out Chicago for a great year, but I think they're pretty much wrapped up. But we've said Brooklyn, Boston, or Milwaukee was going to be the finals team. I think that's just what it feels like watching these teams. It's going to be a hell of a series. I wish it was the conference finals, but still going to be a hell of a series. So we got 2 games tonight. So I guess let's go in order here. We have, starting in about 45 minutes. This has been the best series, I think. Honestly, I think these two games tonight have been the best series so far. So I'm so excited for tonight's action, or 2 of the 3 games tonight, I should say. Memphis, Minnesota tied 2-2. Stevie, what is your read for this 3-game set that these 2 teams have to move on?
I want to say one thing first about the Grizzlies here. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Ja hasn't really he's been a shell of himself in the playoffs so far," and that's because everyone's expecting Ja to come out here and score 30 a night.
Yeah,
and the Timberwolves aren't allowing that. And Ja, I think he's been actually playing really well in this series. I know he hasn't really been lighting it up on the scoreboard, but Ja's averaging an 11 assists per game. He's getting his shooters open. The reason Desmond Bane is playing so well is because of Ja Morant. And it's not just that these are easy passes. He's making fantastic plays. But on the other end, too, you got to give the Timberwolves a lot of credit. Pat Bev, I really kind of overlooked that addition to the team. He's made a significant difference for this team. D. Russell is playing fantastic. Anthony Edwards. I wish Anthony Edwards would be more confident at the start of games. That's my only gripe with Anthony Edwards. It almost feels like he's just kind of standing around on the court for almost like the first quarter and a half. And then in the second half, he's like, "Oh, I'm Anthony Edwards. I'm the first overall pick. I'm an absolute monster." But this series has just been fun. It's just 2, I guess, young, emotional, explosive teams that are inexperienced, so they're still trying to adjust to, the level of the playoff, but they also have so much potential, and it's been a ton of fun to watch these guys. I mean, Ja Morant and Anthony Edwards in the regular season, I would just watch their games because they're fun to watch.
For sure.
See them go up against each other in the first round has been incredible. I've loved every minute of this series. But I want to give Ja his credit because I've just seen too much of just the media being, "Oh, Ja's not playing that great in this series. He's not shooting the ball too well." And maybe he's not shooting too well, but his playmaking has been exceptional. And that's
the other night, wasn't he 0 for 4 with like 8 assists or something in game 2? It was like, it doesn't matter. Like,
he had 2 points, I think, in the first half on 1 of 4 shooting, but he had 9 assists. And these were not your easy assists. This was like he's spinning off a guy, the no-look pass, or he's driving to the lane, and then 3 Timberwolves come around him, and he kicks it out to a 3 for Bane. I mean, Ja's been playing a really good series. He doesn't need to shoot 25 times a night. He doesn't need 100%. To score 35 points. And I think that was part of the reason they had that miraculous comeback, which that game still was one of the craziest NBA games I watched. They outscored them, 37-12 in the fourth quarter. That was because of Ja Morant's playmaking. He didn't score too much, but it was his playmaking.
He's also grabbing like 6, 7, 8 rebounds a game, too.
He's
as a 6'1" point guard.
Averaging 7.8 rebounds a game. Yeah. It's unbelievable. His athleticism is he's probably the most athletic player in the NBA. It's just been fun to watch. And I just had to say that we got to give Ja his credit. But I don't know. I think it's a coin flip for the rest of the series because Minnesota's
that's how I feel about every game in this series, man. I have no idea.
This feels like, man. I would probably lean Memphis tonight, but I don't like it. It's at 6.5 right now. If we're talking spread wise, like I don't know about that. I don't know if any of these favorites. It's been so touchy with these series, but Minnesota is not going to be afraid of going into Memphis or anything like that. Like you said, like they feel like they are on the same level. Like they feel like peers with these guys. We've talked about that before, and it's showing. That's why I don't know what to expect when it comes to home court advantage with these last 3 games. Then because you rarely see teams, split both home and away like they have, like this series has, and like New Orleans and Phoenix has. Usually it's the other way around, especially in the NBA. So and especially in the first round. So this is also. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, if we're going off weird shit here, and if you guys are into that, the T-Wolves are undefeated in the protest game. So like anytime anyone's doing that,
someone shows
shit,
up again. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
but this game's in Memphis though. So does that mean Memphis?
They did show up in Memphis game. She showed up in Memphis game too.
Oh, true. Yeah, that was
one of them chained themselves.
So yeah, it was the play.
This has been crazy. Like this is something that happens. This was something that happens like once in a blue moon. Someone coming on the court, and it's happened 3 times to the same team in the last 2 weeks. It's fucking crazy. And they won all of them, like you said. So was it good vibes? Like is Minnesota just good luck? How bad does Golden State is just loving this series as going back to the Warriors because this is going to be a knockdown. This is at least going 6. Golden State can end tomorrow night.
7.
It's got to be going. There's no way. Like I think we're all in agreement here. Whoever wins game 5 is going to lose game 6. Like it's there. Yeah. It's just the want is going to be so much. Like if Minnesota loses tonight, they go back home Friday night for a game 6. That team is going to be balls to the wall the whole time. Memphis isn't going to be ready for that kind of and vice versa. I just think I think Ryan Russillo was the one who makes this point all the time. So there's a basketball media personality that makes the point a lot about series like that you really can't go back and be like, well, if they won this game, it could have been different, because the motivation going into a game 6 when you're down is much different than if you're up, just naturally in basketball with the confidence and how much you need to mentally be in a game, especially a playoff game, to lock in like that. I feel like there's a lot to that. And with young teams, even more, because the emotions it's like college. So these kids are all college age kids. This shit's just swinging back and forth every second of these games.
And these are 2 teams that are built on emotion. These are 2 confident.
That's true too. Yeah.
Play on emotion. They are emotional players. They are not walk up and down their court, do their thing. They let you know when they make a good basket. They let you know when they have a huge dunk. They let you know when they have they take a charge or a good defensive play. Mm-hmm. These teams thrive on emotion and they play off each other. And that's why I think it makes this series so tough to predict, but also so exciting to watch.
That's a great point, because you think the 2 leaders really of these teams, Ja Morant and probably Anthony Edwards, you would think going into the future he's the number 1 guy. Yeah. Maybe it's still Towns right now, but it's obviously and those dudes.
Emotional guy.
Yeah, exactly. Even Towns, they're all 3, like you said, all 3 of them with the heart of their sleeve. You got a Pat Bev, you throw him into the equation, just stir it up a little bit. I wish we had some more Steven Adams in the series. I know why he's not in there, but him mucking it up with it. This games could get, as we're now we're in the nut crunch time of this series, it's gonna get chippy, it's gonna get aggressive, it's gonna get physical, and I think it's gonna be great for either one of these teams, because that's exactly what they're gonna get from Golden State in the next round. If they think this series has been hard on them mentally, physically, just wait till you're running around 75 screens chasing Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry, because I think that's the biggest advantage, is that these teams are they're thinking that they're getting a taste of the playoffs right now, but then they're going to go to San Francisco for a game 1, and it's going to be a whole different story.
Yeah, so Curry hits 3 and that place erupts there's
exactly there. Exactly. All right, let's finish it up. We kind of touched on it. Did we touch on New Orleans and Phoenix? What's the series we have left?
New Orleans a little bit.
Yeah, we have Mavs Jazz.
Jazz. That's the one. Sorry for forgetting about Mavs.
The one that no one wants to talk about.
We're done. I was last week. No, we came on. We were like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we have to give the Jazz credit. We came on here. We're like, you know what? If Luka doesn't come back. Like the thing that I'm changing right now is that is Dallas screwed? Like we were not confident in that how this series would end up. And now fuck the Jazz. I'm so tired. Like I was already tired of them, but they sucked me in one more time. And I'm very upset with myself because of it. And it's
Mitchell's
not because of
gone, bro.
Oh,
and I don't mean injury. He's gonna James. Well,
this feels like one of those. This feels like one of those injuries that's like I'm done with you guys injuries, like on the door out one of those ways. And I don't want to accuse anybody of that, but he's not. Like this is whatever. If it's tomorrow, if it's Game 7, if they lose this series, whatever the last game they play in this playoffs, undoubtedly, I think in my mind is Donovan Mitchell's last game with the Jazz. And it's just crazy how we've gotten this team has been so promising for so long, and they've just kept bashing their heads into the wall. And this is how it's going to end up. It's crazy, or it could end up, I should say. I don't want to assume, but Dallas is the better team in this series. Like Dallas was the better team before the series, and they should win this series.
Yeah, and I want to let Stevie take his Luka victory lap because I know he's got some stats for us on Luka, but I want to say this quickly first. For those who think that Rudy Gobert should have gotten the Defensive Player of the Year award again, get out of here, dude. Get out of here. He's the reason they lost in the playoffs last year because he's a liability when it's meaningful defense that he needs to play. He just blocks shots and grabs defensive rebounds. That's why you want him to be the Defensive Player of the Year. How about Marcus Smart, who actually won it this year and just swept the Brooklyn Nets and shut down Kyrie all series? That's all I want to say. I had to get that off my chest.
I mean, I agree with you. That was the first point I was going to bring up is what Luka did to Rudy Gobert when I don't know why the Jazz think every time they switch, we're just going to leave a one-on-one Gobert against Luka. It's not going to work. I don't care if he's about 6 inches taller. Luka was doing street ball moves on Gobert in the paint night, and he was falling for him. Luka's been incredible, and I was going to give a little praise to Luka, Dunny, but we have to give praise to Jalen Brunson and Maxi Kleber because they were the reasons the Mavs won game 3 and are
Kleber's defense is I had no idea this man had this in him defensively. Like Jason Kidd unlocked something in Maxi Kleber that I had no idea was there.
He could play defense, and he was lights out from 3 in those two games, doing what he needed to do. Jalen Brunson is averaging 28.6 points a game in these playoffs. It's just
a gamer, man. He's a baller.
Not to mention that Luka's been back in the last 2 games, and Brunson still put up 23 and 24 points. He's like, you know what? Everyone's saying Luka needs a second star to play with. Brunson's like, hey, I'm pretty damn good at basketball, and I can hold my own. And he really is. He's creating his own shots. He's getting open on the catch and shoot. Jalen Brunson's been fantastic. But this Mavs team, I didn't really think they had it in them to make it a series without Luka. They won that first game. I was like, okay, we're in this. They tied up the series. It's 1-1. We're in this. Then they win the next game in Utah. The Mavs technically could have won this series if it wasn't for just a complete, just botch job at the end of that game in Game 4 in Utah when Powell misses 2 free throws and then they give up the oop to Gobert. That was a tough loss, but they bounced back nicely from it and crushed the Jazz. It looked like the Jazz shouldn't even belong in the same court as them last night. I love what I've seen from this Mavs team. Luka's been fantastic, and he hasn't even really had to do too much to help his other teammates because they're helping themselves now. It's no longer Luka has to put up 30, 10, and 10 every night to be competitive. Luka's going to get his, and his step-back 3 has been pretty good so far this series. He's been great when driving. But the other players on the Mavs, Jalen Brunson's had a great series. Reggie Bullock, he doesn't shoot a lot, but he's been very consistent for the Mavericks. Dorian Finney-Smith was hitting threes last night. That's a sentence I didn't think would come out of my mouth in the playoffs.
I did not either.
But the role players really stepped up. As much as I love Luka, and as much as I will admit he's my favorite player in the NBA, I'm a huge Luka fanboy. The reason the Mavs have a chance to close out this series is because of the role players stepping up their game to another level, and they needed to put Luka out the first couple games. They needed to, and they did.
I have a Dorian Finney-Smith stat, actually, Steve. I'm glad you mentioned him.
Give it to me.
Credit StatMuse for this. They're fantastic on Twitter, by the way. If you're not following them and you're an NBA junkie, you got to. Dorian Finney-Smith has contested 93 shots this playoff, second to only Joel Embiid. He's holding his opponents to 39% on those shots.
Unreal.
That's crazy. Also, getting back to Jalen Brunson, did you guys see the shit that his dad has been saying about the contract information that got leaked?
Oh gosh.
So apparently the Jazz had a chance to offer him 4-year, $55 million earlier this season, and they didn't. And his dad now has come out and said, we're not taking discounts this offseason. He's got something along those lines about how Jalen Brunson's about to get paid. And he is. He's going to go after this playoffs. He's getting way more than that. He is getting way more than that. And we'll see. We'll see if the Mavs cough it up. I think they'd be dumb not to.
They have to. I think
him and Luka play so well together. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to NBA dads just holding it down.
For sure.
And shout out to Jalen Brunson too. I didn't think he was capable of this. I'll be the first to admit. I watch a lot of Mavs games.
I didn't think so either.
I did not think he was capable of this. I thought the Mavs
I did bet his. I did bet his over.
Jake,
I did bet his over game 1.
Yeah, you have like sneaky Ben on Jalen Brunson being a bucket though. You were on the scene when Luka was out. You knew he was going to step up. I just don't think it was to this.
I didn't think it was going to be like this. See what I expect from Brunson is more of like the Jordan Clarkson, which is why I love him, because I expect like the 35-point game and then like the 6-point game. That's what I expect from Brunson. Yeah. So game 1, I was like, I knew and he's like a bulldog man, like one of those guys, like he's going to come at you no matter what, whatever. So I knew game 1. That's the only reason I did it. I was like, he's going to come out. He's going to try to ball at least. Like he's going to put up the shots. But this is another level. Like the efficiency, the way the shot creation. It's a whole other thing. But we've got Ty wants us to give some bets out as we're wrapping up here. So we gotta help Ty B out. He said, what dog is barking tonight? I'm going with the Timberwolves. You know what? No, fuck that. I'm going the Pelicans. I'm fading the Suns. I'm trusting the Pelicans. I'd take that money line, but the 6 points I'll definitely take.
It sucks that the Heat Hawks game you probably can't lock in bets anymore, but I had Deandre Hunter over points, rebounds, and assists at 20, or at least 20, which I think that's a lot.
And that is a 4.5-point spread.
Go ahead, Stevie.
I just got 2 player props. I got Desmond Bane over 20.5 points. Just the way this series has been going, Ja's just getting him open. He's not missing. And also, too, Ja left his most improved player award for Desmond Bane. Talk about chemistry right there. Bane's going to ball out for him tonight. Ja's going to get him in. And then I also like Cameron Payne over 7.5 points. I know he's been struggling in this series. He hasn't hit a 3 yet.
Dude.
The Suns need someone else to step up and make some shots to help Chris Paul. And especially after the way the Pelicans beat the Suns last game, I told you, CP3 is not going to forget that. He is going to play the game.
He's not.
He's probably going to have about 15 assists, and I think Campaign gets a couple open shots. 7.5 is just a couple threes in the layup. Those are the two I like.
Campaign has the ugliest jump shot I've ever seen.
It really does.
When he puts that thing up.
It worked.
Oh my god.
It's like a slingshot.
I just forgot until I'm every time I watch him, I'm reminded. And the other night I saw him line up for a 3, and the way that it came out of his hand and bounced off the rim, I was like, it just shouldn't happen in an NBA game. Campaign. Like I could never bet a Campaign over because I think I'd cry the whole time.
It's a tough over to take.
You're a bold man, though, Stevie. I'm not surprised.
Ty's bolder than me with Caleb Martin over.
Yeah, I was thinking Gabe Vincent. I was thinking Gabe Vincent is going to have to cook tonight.
Well,
Lowry and without.
What's he at?
Oh, Struce too. See, that's the thing.
Is 10.5, I believe.
10.5. Okay.
Well, the craziest thing is you don't know with any of these, between Struce, like PJ Tucker, Caleb Martin, Victor Oladipo starting tonight for the Miami
Dude, he
Heat.
had 20 the other.
Guy missed like 70 games this year.
And Tyler Hero could come off the bench and score 25, or he could score 4. Yeah. Duncan Robinson could come off the bench.
I took over in Hero's points.
Do you think they sat Jimmy? Is his knee really that bad, or do you think they know that they're winning tonight up 3-1, like that they can close out at home? Like I feel like they think without those guys that they are confident that they can close this team out.
I don't think it's that guaranteed.
They're in Trey's head though. Trey is not look the same.
No, they are.
Miami is, and they're probably, dude. I would love to hear the shit talking that Miami is doing to Trey, because there's got to be some wild shit that is being said on this.
Well, Denzel Washington, dude, just like, I don't know what ties he has to the Miami Heat, but he was just randomly gave them like a hype talk after the win the other night, and just there was obviously cameras.
You said that name,
involved.
and I was like, this is not adding up.
Dude, so strange, what? Right? And then at the end of it, he like was dapping them up as he was leaving, and he was like, "Yo, tell that little dude on the other team to get a haircut or something like that." Talk about Trae Young, and like no one even really laughed, dude. It was wicked awkward. I'll have to clip this and make a video out of it with the video of Denzel, but it was just rude. So we'll see. Maybe it fired up Trae. I'm sure he saw it by now. I've seen it like 3 times.
Trey's been keeping. The thing I respect about Trae is he keeps the same energy the whole way through. Like he's been still like talk all your shit, whatever.
Cry
like
I'll come out.
Yeah, no, Kyrie, it was so fun. Game one was so fun. He was, it was like we all had a good time, even when Boston was mad. Like we were all enjoying a good time, yeah. And then it wasn't fun anymore. It's just that's the Kyrie experience. It's fun for a little bit, and then you're like, okay, never mind.
All right, but before we send off here, we've talked about pretty much all these guys so far in this episode. The happy hour hooper of the Yoffs so far. This is just a list of 5 that I thought up yesterday when I was making this doc, but feel free to throw another name at me. Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, Jimmy Butler, Drew Holiday, Jalen Brunson. Those are 5 guys that I just think have been so important to their team so far. Obviously Holiday's a second man to Giannis. Jalen Brunson, second man to Luka Doncic, but Brunson, what he did at the beginning of this series stands out to me. Any of those guys or someone else from you guys, who's your happy hour hooper of the Yoffs so far?
So far, I think I'd have to go Brunson just because I didn't think they'd be in the series without Luka, and he really was the reason they were in that series. I got to go Desmond Bane too. What he's been doing.
You're gonna say Desmond.
I have to. I love Desmond Bane. I know he was overlooked in the draft. He was overlooked at college because he played at TCU, and people are like, that's not a basketball school. But this guy is a walking bucket, and he's the most
so
shooting guard in the NBA. He could beat you up, and then he can make 10 threes in your face. I love Desmond Bane. He's been playing. He's taken this game to another level, and that's one thing I think that's been overlooked is these young guys, their first playoff experience, so many of them are stepping up. Well, we have the guys who have been in the playoffs for 5-10 years they just can't do anything this year. So Desmond Bane, he's averaging 23 points right now. Everyone's like, oh, Ja's not scoring. Well, he's not scoring because he's passing the ball, Desmond Bane. And Desmond Bane, you give it an open 3, it's going in. So I'll give him an honorable mention. I still think it's Brunson, and then I would say probably Tatum would be my player of the Yoffs so far. I mean, Tatum, what he did against Durant, he outplayed Kevin Durant, who I thought was the second best player in the NBA. I probably still think he's the second best player in the NBA. Tatum outplayed him all 4 games. There's nothing else to say about that. You can make the argument maybe Durant played better in game 4, but it was game 4 and he didn't win the game. And Tatum closed it out. Yep. So I'll give Tatum all 4 games right there. And then I got Jalen Brunson. You're averaging 29 a game with no Luka in the first 3. Come on now. Unbelievable. Be up 2-1 without Luka Doncic on that Mavs team. If you showed me that roster and you said this team's going to be up 2-1 to the Jazz at the beginning of the season with this roster, I'd be like, there's no chance. They're up 2-1 because of Jalen Brunson.
That's facts. I would have last night, if Brooklyn would have pulled that out against Boston, I would have given it to Scott Foster because he was doing his damn hardest to try to get Brooklyn into game 5, man. Getting Tatum, that 6th foul on Tatum, that was a masterclass of Scott Foster. Somehow, whoever it even was that he was with pulled on Tatum's shoulder, dragged him down. And
it was Dragic.
It was Dragic. Yeah, that's who it was. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. And you just knew some shit was. But Scott, he's not undefeated. I can't say that. He failed in his job. The Celtics move on. So I'm giving it to Poole because Golden State, I think we talked about them as the favorite to go to the finals out of the West. And Poole has been the engine behind it. They wouldn't be in that position without him. I mean, Steph clearly wouldn't have been healthy, and I don't think Clay could have carried it. I mean, the other night when they had 27, 27, and 26, all 3 of them, I was like, what more do you like? That's fucking terrifying for everybody else. You're looking at that box score and just seeing that level. Like, you rarely have guards be able to all go off like that at the same time. So I'm giving it to Poole. That's what I'm rolling with.
I got an honorable mention. I wouldn't put him in the category of the other guys we named. I got to give a shout out to the way DeAndre Ayton's been playing so far. He's averaging 20 and 10. Everyone talks about Luka and Trey from that class.
Dude.
DeAndre Ayton. He's played incredible. He's shooting efficient, 70% from the floor, 80% from free throws. He's been playing really well. And without Devin Booker, it's been a lot more pressure on these Suns players to score. DeAndre Ayton, that little mid-range game he's developed this year, it's really shown in the playoffs so far. He's been playing exceptional. I have to give him a quick shout out because I think if the Suns are going to win this series against this Pelicans team, it's going to be because of DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul. And DeAndre Ayton, you're averaging 20 and 10. He's doing what the Suns wanted him to do when they drafted him. I know he was considered maybe a disappointment. You should have taken Luka, should have taken Trey. He's been playing very well this postseason. Have to give him his credit. Yeah,
well, he has that I'm trying to get paid look on his face. I think that's as much as anything else. But Ayton has been a treat, man. Some of the shot making from him has been very impressive because he's hitting some shots last year that he wouldn't have had the confidence to even take, and then doing that. So that's a real good plus. That's a good one. Any other thoughts? We just tipped off with Atlanta, Miami, and it is 3-2 Hawks early.
I think you guys know my happy hour hooper of the offs, but it's Jason Tatum. I mean, you guys kind of already mentioned.
I was going to say Peyton Pritchard, but
dude, I mean, he deserves a ton of credit too. But Tatum, man, like this is, regardless of what happens the rest of the way, this is one of the most unbelievable series from a Celtic I've seen. 29.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 7 assists per game, 1.8 steals. He also had 6 steals in game 3, which was a career high for him. Just under a block a game, plus 27 for a plus minus. And then shooting splits of 45, 42, and 87 at the free throw line. Not to mention he was on Durant pretty much the entire series. I mean, obviously, the Celtics defense switches a lot, but it wasn't like he was backing down from that and then putting up those offensive numbers. He was guarding the best player on the floor and then outperforming the best player on the floor. Jason Tatum, my happy hour hooper of the off so far.
Shout out.
Jason Tatum is a superstar. Just get that in your head. Every comment.
And he's only 19.
He's going to be 19 for the next 10 years, and he's still going to be a superstar for the next 10 years.
Nick Wright actually came out and kind of apologized on the Colin Cowherd show. I think yesterday or 2 days ago. He claimed that the Colin Cowherd show made him look worse than it was because they made the whole graphic and everything, and he was saying that it was really only 12 guys he believed were better. But he kind of put his words behind him. He admitted he was wrong. He called Jason Tatum a superstar. So Nick Wright off my shit list for now.
For now. He'll be back on soon. Don't worry.
Yeah, very soon.
Very soon.
Before the playoffs.
It's Nick Wright we're talking about here, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, come on. All right. Well, thank you for Donovan Holden and for Stevie here, some guy named Steve. Jake Micah. Thank you for joining Happy Hour Hoops. Enjoy the night of games. Stay hydrated. Have a great week. Way more. We might see some game 7s with all blessings. We get some game 7s this weekend to enjoy, and we'll be back next week to talk about them.